Hello, welcome. I am going to wait until welcome to Saturday evening budgeting. Um, what's going on, you guys? I'm going to be talking about, do you have a budget and how to budget? Y'all. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to share the live. Um, I'm going to be streaming on TikTok and YouTube. So, good evening. I'm just waiting for a few people to get in the room and I will start. I will see who. Hello, good evening. Hello. I will be talking about how to start a budget and do you know where to begin? So I'm just going to wait for a few people to come into the live. Ooh, no. No. Cancel. People are requesting my live. I don't want that to happen. Okay, no. Open. Hello, good evening. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes to see if anybody will jump on the live. I'm going to be talking about how to start a budget and when do you know where to begin? No, how to start a budget when you don't know where to begin. I get asked all the time about budgeting and people don't know where to start or how to start. So I'm going to be talking about how to start a budget. So if you're interested in learning about how to start a budget, people that just entered the room, I will be talking about how to start a budget tonight. And if you are new here, make sure that you like the live, make sure you share it, make sure you get your daily heart meet on TikTok, make sure you share the live out. I'm going to be talking about how to start a budget and where to begin because most people don't know where to begin when starting a budget. I get this question asked all the time about like, how do I start a budget? It's so confusing. I don't know where I start. So tonight I'm going to be talking about that. So I'm just going to see if some more people are going to enter the room. Make sure that when you come into the room, you like, you comment, and subscribe and so again, I'm going to be talking about how to start a budget and where to begin. Because as a financial coach, I get asked this question all the time. Like, Janine, I don't even know where to start in reference to a budget. So tonight I'm going to be breaking it down. Okay. So 7 p.m. is going to be like my new time that I will be doing my lives. I'm going to be doing Tuesday, Thursday, and trying to do Sunday. So that's when you can catch me on TikTok or you can catch me on YouTube. For people that just came into the room, make sure that you like the live, make sure you share it, make sure you get your daily heart me that promotes more people to see my live, and it helps me and it also helps you as the engager. So make sure that you comment. Tonight I'm going to be talking about how to start a budget. So I have like a lot of new followers on TikTok. A lot of people don't know me. So I want to introduce myself. I am Janine. I am a financial coach. I have been budgeting for 15 plus years. I started budgeting, I would say around 24. And through budgeting, I bought my first house at 19, and I was able to pay off $60,000 in debt. I also bought a second house 3 years ago, and I got it built from the ground up. So I'm a financial coach, and I help women with their budget, saving money, getting out of debt. So those are the things that I specialize in. So if you're interested in that, then you are in the right place. So I'm just going to wait and see if more people are going to come into the room before I really start. So yes, if anybody is watching on the replay on YouTube, make sure that you like and share the live. Make sure that you comment. Make sure you send it to a mom that may be confused about her budget and she just doesn't know where to start. You can watch it on the replay. So make sure that you do that. Make sure that you share, you comment, and you like it. So that's what I'll be talking about tonight, how to start a budget. So new people that just entered the room, I want to ask a question. Are you a spender or are you a saver? Drop it in the chat. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to start a budget if you don't know where to start. So if you are a spender or are you a saver, put it in the chat. I'm just going to say, for me personally, I am a spender. I'm a spender. So put in the chat if you are a spender or are you a saver. And again, if you're new, make sure that you like the live, make sure you share it so more people can see the replay, see the live. So do I have any spenders in here or do I have any savers? Which one are you? I am a spender. And again, this room is going to be about budgeting, but it's no shame, no guilt here. We're going to be budgeting, but having God in the center. So I'm just trying to figure out to see if more people will come in the room. I'm waiting a little bit. Are you a spender or are you a saver? I am a saver, y'all. I am a saver for sure. No, I'm a spender, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm a spender. I'm starting to be a saver. I'm starting to be a saver for sure. But was I a saver all of this time? Absolutely not. But I'm getting better with it for sure. I'm getting better with it. So again, we are going to be talking about how to start budgeting, especially when you don't know where to begin. Budgeting can be very overwhelming to a lot of people. People be like, I don't know where to start, where to track my expenses. What should I do? And this live will be about that tonight, how to make sure you learn how to budget. So I just want to make sure people are coming into the room, trying to wait a few more minutes to give people time to come into the room. I'm streaming on both platforms and seeing if people are going to come into the room. Join now. So again, are you a spender or are you a saver? I'm a spender, y'all. I'm definitely am, for sure. So anyway, again, people that just entered the room, I'm going to be talking about how to create a budget if you're a spender or are you a saver. So do you ever feel like your money just slips away no matter how hard you work? You feel like every time you get paid, you're just like, where did all my money go? You ever feel like that? You ever feel like some people make over 6 figures and they still do not know where their money go, or they're still living paycheck to paycheck? Listen, there's no guilt or no shame here, but you got to create a budget. We got to create a budget, and you got to track your spending for sure. You need to track your spending. So the first thing that I'm going to teach is basically just going to be the basics about budgeting, because the first thing that I tell my clients, because I'm a financial coach, is the first thing that you have to do is write down your income, write down your money. Like before, you know what, even before you do that, you need to track your expenses, because some people don't even know where their margin is. Some people don't even know like where they're spending, none of that. I always tell my clients, track your spending. You have to track your spending first before you do anything else, because you don't even know your margin. You don't even know your numbers if you don't track your spending. And I'm going to tell you guys, when you track your spending, it's going to show you your habits. Like you're going to learn who you are in reference to your money. When you track your spending, you're really going to learn like, dang, I spend a lot of money eating out, or maybe I spend a lot of money on beauty, or maybe I spend a lot of money on Amazon. When you track your spending, you're going to learn your spending habits. So as a financial coach, the first thing I do is I tell my clients to track their spending. So if people are new in the room, make sure that you like the live, make sure you share it, make sure you get your daily heart meet at the top. Click the orange heart at the top. And the question that I ask is, are you a spender or are you a saver, for the new people that just entered the room? Are you a spender or are you a saver? And I said, I am a spender. Drop in the chat whether you are a spender or are you a saver. Because we're going to be talking about how to create a budget for the new people that just entered the room. So yeah, that's the first thing I would say in reference to creating a budget, is track your spending. Once you get used to really, and I would say like in tracking your spending, there's two ways to do it. I guess the right way, right? Is some people are digital people, right? So you can track your spending on an app. I use personally a EveryDollar app. It's by, one of the big gurus. You guys probably know it. I use EveryDollar to track my spending, and it's connected to my bank account, so it's really easy. So that's one of the first things I always tell my clients is make sure you track your spending. And then the first thing I would say in reference to creating the budget is you need to track your income. You need to know about your income, because the first thing I would say is if you don't know your numbers, then how can you save money? How can you pay off debt if you don't know your numbers? So the first thing, after you track your spending, make sure that you track your income, and you need to really know what your income is, because again, I can't teach you how to pay off debt. I can't show you any of that if you don't even know your margin, if you don't even know how much is coming in and how much is going out. Let's make sure my mic is working, y'all. So the first thing, you gotta write things down. In Habakkuk 2:2, it says, write the vision and make it plain. Writing down your income is one of the first steps in taking authority over your finances. So again, we have to really write down our expenses and our income. That's one of the first foundation things that you can do in budgeting. So if you really want to level up on your budgeting, first thing you have to do is track your expenses and then write down your income. So the next thing that you need to do is list your expenses. Now, this is very important. You need to write down all of your bills, like what's coming in, what's going out. Write down all your bills, y'all. Like it's so important. it's because you know what, like you need to write down your bills so you can really so you won't miss a due date, so you don't have any late payments, so you really can stay on top of your bills. So what I usually do every month is like I have a calendar and I literally write down all my bills for the month of, like, it's September coming up. So I will write down the due dates on all my bills for the month of September. So I'm definite, like that's one of the biggest things that you have to do. After you tracking your expenses, write down your bills so you won't miss a late payment. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. The other day, I was supposed to pay my credit card and I missed it by one day and they gave me a late fee of $40. So writing down your bills and especially the due date is very, very important because you don't want to get no late fees or anything like that. And I honestly, I knew better. Like I knew my bills and I knew when it's due, but for some reason I just missed it by one day and they was trying to charge me a $40 late fee. And I was like, absolutely not. So luckily I called my credit card company and I was like, can you waive this late fee? So definitely make sure that you write down your bills for the month. Like prime example, September is coming up. You can just print out like a regular calendar. It don't have to be nothing fancy, and look at each and every bill that's due for the month of September and write it down. So you know when you get paid, prime example, let's say that you have 5 bills that's due for the first week in September and you know you don't get paid to the second week in September. For real, like the one of the best ways to level up on your budgeting is doing the split paycheck method, and you want to split the bills into each paycheck. So let's say you get paid the first week in September. You're going to cover all of your bills because you wrote it all down, so you know exactly when your bills is coming out. You're going to look at your paycheck, especially if you're getting paid bi-weekly, and you're going to cover all the bills into your next paycheck. So that's one of the things to level up on your budgeting. If you're new into the room, make sure that you like, make sure that you share, make sure that you get the daily heart meet on TikTok, and share it so that other people can see the live. And I asked in the beginning, are you a spender or are you a saver? So if you want to put in the chat whether you're a spender or you a saver. But we're talking about how to create a budget. And one of the things that I said that is very important is step 1 would be write down your income. Write down your income. So make sure that you're writing down your income and your expenses, y'all. Like in order to like pay off debt, in order to save, you got to know what's coming in and what's coming out. That's like the foundation of budgeting, like knowing your numbers and knowing what's coming in and coming out, because sometimes a lot of people don't track their expenses. And if you really track your expenses and you learn your spending habits, let's just say, for example, fast food is one of the biggest parts of people budget that people don't track. And once they really start to track it, you really can be like, okay, well, you know what, I'm a not, let's say you track your expenses and you realize you've been paying $500 for fast food and you don't have an emergency fund. I will be telling you, listen, we need to lessen on the fast food and then build your emergency fund. So people that are new here, make sure that you like the live, make sure you share it, and make sure you grab the daily heart meet, which is the orange little heart up at the top. And you just click it. It's a daily heart. Make sure that you tap in the screen, because that way that the live will be pushed out to more people, more moms that need to learn about budgeting. But in the beginning, I said that, are you a spender or are you a saver? Put in the chat if you are a spender or are you a saver. I am a spender for sure. And we're talking about how to create a budget. How to create a budget. And again, one of the first steps is making sure you write down your expenses. The second step would be writing down your income. You're a saver. I know you are. I know you are. Hey, girlfriend. Hey, you are a saver. I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there. I'm working on the saving part. So definitely I'm working on it. Um Definitely. So the next thing to write down your income, the second step will be listing your expenses. I talked about this before, but some people are just joining the live to make sure that you track your expenses. That's like the foundation in budgeting. A lot of people struggle with tracking your expenses, but it's going to help tremendously. Like, especially if you have goals, like you want to pay off debt, you want to build a savings, you want to build some sinking funds. It's like you can't do any of that if you don't know where your money is going. We got to know where our money is going. At first, you definitely have to know where your money is going. So we have to track our expenses. Proverbs 27:23 says, be diligent to know the state of your flock. So what is harder for you guys, bills or spending? What is harder to track? Is it harder to track your bills or is it harder to track your spending? So put in the chat, bills or spending. What is harder for you to track? I would say for me personally, spending would be harder for me to track because bills, like most people have what, 10 to 20 bills maybe, and most people know where their bills are. So it's just like I feel like bills is not really hard to track, but spending is, because most people spend, a lot, especially if you have kids. I don't. Oh, I don't. Okay, so you read in the budget. You don't have a budget. Well, you're in the right place if you do not have a budget. I'm talking about tracking your expenses. But the first thing, people that are new, that are coming into the live, make sure that you like the live, make sure you share, make sure you grab that daily heart at the top, the little orange heart. Make sure you click that. But we're talking about how to create a budget. And listen, we're going to keep this simple. We're going to keep it easy. And first thing you need to do for new people that are coming into the room is write down your income. Now, you can write down your income or paper or digital. Either way, some people are paper, some people are digital. Honestly, I'm a paper girl at heart. I literally write down everything on paper. So that's just what it is. But if you are a digital person, there's an app called Every Dollar that I use to track my expenses. So that's a paid app. You can go to the App Store on your phone. So that's one of the ways. Also, I have budget templates that's in my stand. So you can go to my bio and you can click on it. And I have budget sheets that helps you track your expenses. I also have an Excel spreadsheet. So it's both for the digital person or the paper girl. So whichever one. But I put in there, are you a spender or are you a saver? For the new people that's coming into the room, put spender or saver. I am a spender for sure. I spend like I print. I spend like I printed myself. I'm reading a comment. It says, I spend like I printed myself. Okay. Well, listen, it's nothing wrong with spending. I always tell people that the foundations that everybody should be doing with money, three things you should be doing with money. You should be saving it. Well, yeah, you should be give, save, and spend. Give, the first thing. If you are a believer and you believe in giving tithes, then that's the first thing you should be doing. Or if you are maybe not as religious and you want to give to some type of charities or stuff like that, that's one of the things, that first thing you should be doing with your money. Second, you should be saving it. You should be having an emergency fund, and we need an emergency fund, like, for sure, because the emergency fund is going to be your cushion between you and life, because stuff is going to happen. So you need to have an emergency fund. And then the third thing is spending. So it's nothing wrong with spending as long as you have, number one, an emergency fund. And as long as you're spending, like, what's your goals? It really just depends on like each individual person. Like, let's say your goal is to pay off debt. Let's say you have a lot of debt. So you have to spend wisely, because any extra money or any extra margin, you definitely want to be putting that to the debt. So there's nothing wrong with saving, but it just really depends on like your goals. Um, so what would I say? So also with tracking your expenses, one of the things that I asked was, is it easier to track your bills or to track your spending? So put in the chat, bills or spending. And I was saying that for me, I think the harder part in tracking would be my spending, because bills are kind of like fixed. You know what I mean? Your rent, your credit card bills, all of the things, they are really set in stone. But your spending can be a lot. Like if if you're buying things for your kids, if you're buying things for your house, tracking all those expenses every month can be a lot. So put in the chat whether the bills are harder for you to track or spending is harder for you to track. So is it your bills or is it spending? And make sure you're liking the live. Make sure you're sharing it out. Make sure you're liking and sharing. So bills or spending. So after you done wrote down your income, you done track your expenses, now we're going to assign every dollar a job. And that's a zero-based budget. If you don't know what it is, zero-based budget, assign every dollar a job. I think that a lot of people get the zero-based budgeting, like that wording, confused, because they think that, oh, you have zero money. Like, oh, I'm not going to have no money if I do this budgeting. But honestly, that's not even the case. It's just making sure that let's say that you get paid $2,000 every 2 weeks if you're bi-weekly. That means that all those $2,000 are assigned to something. Let's say your rent is $1,000, right? You got $1,000 left. Let's say that your variable expenses is $500 and you got $500 left. So assigning what you want that $500 to do. Do you want to save some of it? Do you want to spend some of it? Like assigning every dollar a job. So not just saying, okay, well, I'm gonna put 1,000 to my rent, I'm gonna put 500 to my variables, and just leave the other 500 and be like, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with it. No, zero-based budget, we got to assign every dollar. So you can say, you know what, I may put 200 to my savings, I may put 100 to my debt, and I may save the rest. I don't know, but don't just like leave the money there to just be like, I don't really know what I want to do with it. We need to be telling the money what to do, because if you don't tell the money what to do, it's gonna go really fast, and you'll be like, dang, what did I do with that 500 in my account? I didn't even save it. I didn't even do anything. So assigning every dollar a job, for sure. So Proverbs 21:5 says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. When you plan, you position yourself for abundance. And there's a saying that if you fail to plan, if you plan to fail. So you fail to plan. If you don't plan, then you plan to fail, for sure. So I'm going to ask, so right now for budgeting, how does budgeting make you feel? Does it make you feel lost or does it make you feel organized? Write in the chat if you feel lost or organized with your budget. How does it make you feel? Do you feel lost or do you feel organized with your budget? Do you feel lost or do you feel organized with your budget? I feel like my budget, I feel organized because I've kind of been doing it a long time. So I'm pretty much organized with my budget at this point. But do you feel lost or do you feel organized with your budget? um, so we are talking about if you feel lost or if you feel organized with your budget, make sure that you put that in the chat. Um, for the new people that's in the room, make sure that you share the live, make sure you comment, make sure you like it, make sure you get the daily heart meet and share it out. Hey friend, hi, Dr. Lisa, thank you for coming into the live. Lost, you feel lost with your budget, really? Do you want to elaborate on why you feel lost? For Dr. Lisa, we are talking about, do you feel lost or do you feel organized with your budget? Why do you feel lost? Do you know your numbers? Do you track your expenses? Why do you feel lost? I'm reading a comment. I'm streaming on YouTube and TikTok. Why do you feel lost? We're talking about whether you feel lost or if you feel organized with your budgeting. Not tracking. I spend a lot of times. Okay. I get it, but we got to give ourselves grace, because if you are not used to tracking your expenses, then that's just going to be a new habit that you have to create. So you got to give yourself grace, but you have to be like, okay, I need to start somewhere. So first thing that I would say is, are you a digital person or are you a paper? Because you got to figure out like what's going to be better for you. Like if you're a digital person, then having an app like a EveryDollar app is very easy, because then you could just connect your bank to it, and then every time you spend, you can create categories, and then that way you can just track it very easily. Trying to be more accountable on what I'm buying. Okay. Trying to be more accountable on what you're buying. Okay. Well, listen, tracking your expenses is definitely going to do that. Dr. Lisa, you say you feel organized at the moment. Great. Great. Feeling organized. Now, do you track your expenses, Dr. Lisa? You track your expenses? Let's see. Trying to be more accountable on what I'm buying. Do you track your expenses? We're talking about whether we track our expenses in budgeting. And we're talking about whether you feel organized or lost with your budget for the new people that just entered the room. Yes, my business has me tracking right now. Good, good, good. It's a great habit to create, because I feel like that's just hard for most people to start there. Once you really get into the rhythm of tracking your expenses and you know your numbers, like you know what's coming in, you know what's coming out, I feel like it just makes it so much easier. And that's kind of like the foundation of the budgeting. I wasn't always tracking. Neither was I. Let me tell y'all. Like I tell people all the time, even though I've been budgeting, and then I feel like it goes in ebbs and flows. Like some months I track really good and I'm like, yes, I know. And then some other months I'm like, dang, I barely track my expenses, but I know my numbers. Like I would say for me in August last month, I didn't track my expenses as much as I should have, but I know I spent a lot on fast food. So I know this month I'm reeling it in. Like I'm doing a no spend in September, because I definitely spent too much money on fast food last month. And just, knowing my numbers and doing it so long, you can kind of just know some of your transactions and know that, you know what, I've been swiping my card too many times thank you so much for the daily heart me. Thank you so much. I know for me, just tracking my expenses is like you do get into a rhythm. Good evening. You do get into the rhythm of like, once you really track your expenses and once you really get your numbers going, you kind of really know. Hey, friend, good evening. So right now we're talking about tracking our expenses and whether right now budgeting you're feeling lost or if you're feeling organized. Some people in the chat said that they're feeling lost and other ones feel organized. So thank you so much for coming, liking, and subscribe. So yeah, like tracking your expenses is really like hard for most people, but I feel like it's just like your foundation. You have to start there. And then knowing your income, like knowing your bills. You gotta, like a lot of people like, how can I pay off debt? How can I save money? But if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know what's coming in and what needs to go out, then how can you save for anything, right? Like, you can't save for anything if you don't know your numbers. But tracking it definitely is a habit that you just have to get used to. You just, thank you so much for the populars. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for poppers. So what I was about to say, I was also talking about a zero-based budget, and that's when you are assigning every dollar a job. For the new people in the room, put in the chat whether you feel lost with your budget or whether you feel organized. Make sure that you're liking the live. Make sure that you're sharing it out. But we're just talking about the foundations of budgeting, tracking your expenses, writing down your income, and assigning every dollar a job is very, very important, because you need to know where your money is going. And also too, whether you're a digital person or you are a paper person, I feel like for like busy moms out there, if there are so many tracking apps that you really can just, every time you spend, you can have it in categories and you just really just track your expenses. Because if you track your expenses, it's really going to show you where your money is going. Like, prime example, you may not know that you spent $150 in Amazon, or maybe you don't know that you spent $500 on fast food. But when you track your expenses, it's going to show you really what you're doing with your money. So tracking your expenses is very, very important, and also assigning the dollar job. So I want to let's see. So put in the chat. Let me see which. So I want to ask, what steps feels hardest for you? Is it like income? Is it your expenses, or like assigning every dollar job? Like, what is, if you have any questions about budgeting, you can put it in the chat. But what's more hard for you guys in reference to just like tracking your expenses, or maybe it's your income? Maybe some people are like, I know how to track my expenses, but I don't make enough money. Sometimes that could be the case. Like, you track your expenses really well, but you just don't make enough money. And honestly, I was at a point where I just did not make enough money for everything that was coming in. I could not save. So put in the chat whether it's your income for you, let's say for a budget, let's say you just don't make enough money, or maybe it's your expenses. You kind of all over the place with your expenses and you just really don't know, you really can't track it. Or maybe it's assigning the money. Like, maybe you're confused about, when you do have the income, what goes first? What should you be paying first? What should you be paying second? Like, you put in the chat whether it's your income, your expenses, or assigning. Because sometimes when you're creating a budget, some people are like, well, what do I pay first, other than like the basic bills? Good evening. Good evening. I always tell people, I always tell my clients, the first thing you have to cover is your four walls. You have to make sure that you're covering your housing first. This is before any debt payments, any of that. Make sure that you're covering your housing expenses first. The second thing is your food, making sure that you have food on the table for you and your family. That will be, thank you so much for the roses. Thank you so much. The goal, hopefully I can reach my goal, the roses. So hopefully we can reach the goal. So what oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for liking. Now I lost my train of thought, y'all, about what I was talking about. For what feels the hardest for you. Thank you so much. Oh, we almost at the goal for your income, your expenses, or assigning every dollar of your budget. Taking care of the four walls. Thank you. Listen, I'm still new to this live thing, y'all, and I literally just lost my train of thought, for sure. Thank you so much. Taking care of your four walls. Yes. So making sure that you do your housing, making sure that you do your food, and then I get it. Yes, listen, like, I feel like when you see people on live, it just seems like it just flows so easy for them. But it's just like, when you hit this live button, I would like all the thoughts, everything that I prepared for, just go out. I just be like, oh my gosh, well, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? So I'm glad you get it, Miss Treetop, because it's like we still learn. I feel like if Dr. Lisa's still in the room, she make it look so easy. Like it's just so easy to do, it's just flowing so natural. When you actually do it on this live show, thank you so much for the heart me. Thank you so much. It just makes it seem easy. So yes, your four walls, your housing, your variable expenses, and then we talking about debt, and then it would be your savings. So so put yeah, so that's what would be like if you're really trying to start your budget and you just don't really know what to do it. You have to make sure that you take care of those things. But are there any questions for me in the chat? You can answer this question? Do you have a budget? Yes or no? Put yes or no in the chat if you have a budget. Sorry. Do you have a budget? Put yes or no if you have a budget in the chat. I feel like starting a budget can be overwhelming for a lot of people. And it's so important to make sure that you have somebody like a financial coach or financial advisor to like walk alongside you and help you with your budgeting. I am a financial coach. I do one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested in any coaching or just one-on-one, or just you just need help with your numbers, you really just don't know where to start. Maybe you need help paying down debt. You always can go into my bio. There are links there, and you always can schedule a one-on-one coaching. No, I need to redo it since I'm now retired as of May. Oh, okay. Well, congratulations on your retirement. Hold on. Congratulations on your retirement. Congratulations, that's exciting. So with retirement, that's going to be a little bit different because you're now on a fixed income. Are you now on a fixed income? Thinks the budget needs to be tweaked. Yeah, listen, I get it. So yeah, retirement looks a little different. I don't know if you have 401k. Do you have 401k? Or are you on a fixed income now? Because I know a lot of people, I did a financial literacy class at my church. I want to say last week, and a lot of people that was on fixed incomes and retirement, that looks a little different. And I tell people that are on a fixed income or are retired that it really just depends. Like if you have any debt, I would say, try to reduce your pension and annuity. Oh, okay, good. Nice. So pension and annuity. So you have a set amount coming from your pension and your annuity. That's great. But I always tell people that personal finances is very, it doesn't look the same for everybody. So the first thing I would say is, do you have any debt? I don't know if you have any debt, hopefully not. And especially the biggest thing, if now that, the income is more fixed, to be making sure that you reduce your expenses as much as you can and only really yeah, that's so right. The issue I do, paying off a car. Okay, paying off a car. Well, listen, give yourself grace. I always tell my clients that give yourself grace, budgeting and, your numbers and everything like that. And especially when seasons change in your life, especially like this retirement, give yourself grace, but just start somewhere. So if it's like, what, I need to tweak my numbers, then the first thing I will recommend you is, write down all your numbers. And I would say, the first thing I would recommend is to paying that car note off, because we live in a society where I feel like car notes are just the norm. I literally had so many car notes, but I am team no car note. I do not have a car note, and I'm really trying not to get another one. So that's what I would say. Make sure that you try to pay extra to your car note if you can, because you want to reduce your debt as much as you can. Because I don't know about y'all, but Do you ever look at the amount of money you're paying to like debt, like to student loans and credit cards? I say that to myself all the time. I'm like, if I really had this money to myself, and I would have so much more money. So one of the biggest things is try to reduce your debt as much as you can. But also give yourself grace that it's not going to happen overnight, and just try to just create some good habits on tracking your expenses, making sure you know your numbers, reducing your expenses, and really getting things down so you can reduce your debt. Any other questions about budgeting, maybe about where to start, not knowing your numbers, how to track your expenses, what to do? Put in the chat if you have any questions about budgeting. What's your biggest struggle in reference to budgeting? Trust me, I really needed a car. It would be amazing once I free up that debt. Well, we're going to speak that into existence, that you are going to pay off that debt. We're going to speak it into existence, because you know they say in the Bible, you speak life and death through your tongue. So listen, we're going to speak that you're going to pay off the debt, and listen, you're going to be in a new chapter in your life once you have the car note done. So just remember, you definitely going to free up the debt. Any other questions about budgeting, about what are the hardest parts for people starting a budget? What are some biggest challenges in reference to creating a budget, tracking your expenses? Any new people that came into the room, make sure you like the live, make sure you share out the live, make sure you get the daily heart me at the top. Make sure you share it, make sure you like it. Should you pay the credit card debt and still try to save? Very good question. Here's what I would say. If you do not have an emergency fund, to make sure you start there, because you need a cushion between you and life. So if you don't have an emergency fund, you don't have any type of savings at all, you need to have a savings. So I would tell you to pay minimum on your debt if you do not have an emergency fund. Now, if you do have an emergency fund and you have some type of savings, they say that, pay yourself first when you are getting paid. If you want to save, let's say $10 to $20, I feel like that's okay, but you really want to try to focus on one thing at a time. So you're putting like basically all your energy into this one thing. So if debt is definitely the one thing that you have, then I would say focus on that. But it really just depends if you have an emergency fund. So if you have an emergency fund, then yeah, of course, should you pay the credit card debt and still try to save? And then also for the debt, right? Because I know you were talking about a car note and then the credit cards. So I would say using the snowball method. The snowball method is listing the debt smallest to largest in reference to the amount and not the interest rate. So let's just say you have a credit card. Let's just say, for example, you have a credit card that's $600, and let's say you have another one for $1,000, and let's say you have a car note. Let's say you owe $15,000 on the car note. Then what I would say is start with the small credit card debt payments first, so you can knock them off. Because the debt snowball method is going to give you momentum. It's kind of going to give you that, like, 6 months or 9 months of expenses do you suggest in the emergency fund? In the emergency fund, I would suggest 6 months. I would suggest 6 months, especially if you have debt. If you have 6 months in your emergency fund, that's enough. And let's say that you have 9 months in your emergency fund. I will reduce it down to 6 months, and I will use the extra money and I will pay it towards debt. So let's say you have 9 months in your emergency fund, I will reduce it. And I will reduce it down to 6 months and then pay it towards debt. Because, debt is kind of really like the number one thing that you're working on. Now, some people may be like, Neen, I don't think I could just take that money out. Now, if you're like, some people, it's like, well, you know what? I done saved up all this money and I really don't want to pay it to debt. Then I would say, if you really don't want to touch that emergency fund, then I wouldn't be putting any more money in the emergency fund, I will be putting it straight to debt. So you could pay the car note off, or you could pay the credit card off. So that's what I would definitely recommend. But to focus on one thing. So if it's the credit card debt, and if it's just paying off debt, then we should be focusing on that. You're welcome. Any more questions? Thank you so much for the roses. Thank you so much for the roses. Any more questions in reference to starting a budget, having a budget? Thank you so much for the heart me. Thank you for any more questions for me, you guys. Also, make sure that you go to the link in my bio. I have a debt a budget guide. So anything that I talked about tonight, if you missed it, you can just download the budget guide. I have a lot of freebies in my stand, so you can go there and you can check it out. I also have some templates for you to track your expenses, to write it all down. So if you're interested in that, tap that. Thank you so much. Make sure you check out the free resources in my bio. I also do one-on-one coaching if you just want more like a personalized budget, if you want to talk your numbers, if you have more personal questions, things. I will check out the links in your bio. Thank you so much. Make sure you check it out. And again, I have free resources in there. And again, if you want one-on-one coaching, or you just need somebody to talk to your numbers, you also can schedule a one-on-one coaching, which is free. So any other questions about budgeting, tracking your expenses, any other things about debt, paying off debt, building an emergency fund? Any more questions for me, you guys? Let me see. So thank you. A couple of things to just recap. I have done the snowball of paying down debt, and it does work. Haven't done it in a while. No, it's okay. But I'm glad you know that it works. I'm glad that you know that it definitely works. I paid off $60,000. Thank you so much for the roses. I have paid off $60,000 in debt from doing the snowball method, and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for the roses. I like the snowball method. For me, is like the only method now. Some people may say, well, Gold Chief, thank you so much. Some people may like, what's the snowball method? What's the avalanche method? Now, the avalanche method is for people that are like number nerds, right? People may be like, you know what? I'm a numbers nerd. So an avalanche method is when you're listing your debt from the highest interest rate to the smallest interest rate. So let's just say that you have a credit card that's like 500, like that's the balance, 500, but the interest rate is 24%. And let's say you have another credit card that's 5,000, but the interest rate is 22%. You're going to start with the credit card that has the 22% because it has the lowest interest rate. Now, again, it's like, if you have a card that's 5,000 and then you have one for 500, that 5,000 is going to take you some time to pay it off. And some people just, I know for me, I will lose my momentum to be like, dang, 5,000 is like is a large amount, where it's like, dang, I'm going to have to continuously paying this off before I see some short wins. But with the snowball method, you would be paying that $500 one off fast, which that may take you a month, right, to do. And you building that momentum. Because listen, I don't know about y'all, but I need those small wins. Like, I need the debt to be paid off pretty fast. But overall, if you do the avalanche method, then eventually you'll be paying less interest in the long run. But it's still, I feel like it's just a harder method. But it really just depends on what really works for you. If you're like, I don't want to pay all that interest, in the avalanche. But if you want the small wins, then you should do the snowball. So it really just depends on what you want to do. Any more questions about debt payoff? So I think that my live schedule is going to be Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 7 p.m. So this is kind of my new times. I really just kind of want to play around with the time. I'm trying to be more consistent with the lives. Tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a prayer live, and we're just praying over our finances and praying over our family and our children. So if you are interested, I will be live tomorrow at 7 p.m. And again, it's prayer for finances. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it will be more about budgeting, me talking about, savings, emergency funds, paying off debt. It'll just be a different topic every day. But the Sundays will be more prayer and like reset. So if you're interested, make sure you check me out tomorrow at 7 p.m. Any more questions for me, you guys, about debt, about any financial questions? Starting an emergency fund. So what did we talk about today? We talked about writing down your income, listing your expenses, giving every dollar a job. And remember, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. What works best for me is the snowball method. I know that one, and I will tune in. Oh, okay, great. The snowball method works for me as well. Most people, I feel like the snowball method is just kind of like the easier method, because it just gives you those quick momentums when paying off debt. And yeah, I just honestly think it's the easier method. Any more questions for me? Thank you so much for people that's coming in the room. Make sure that you like, make sure you comment, make sure you get the Daily Heart Me at the top. Make sure you share the live out too. Any other questions in reference to budgeting? And I really think it, honestly, y'all, it's just really creating these small habits to give yourself grace when it comes down to budgeting. And especially like if you're new to it, if budgeting seems very overwhelming, if personal finances just seems to like stress you out. I know a lot of people have like stress anxiety looking at their numbers. Some people get really they just get really stressed when they looking at their numbers. But you have to give yourself grace. You have to know that this is maybe a new habit that you're creating, but you're building something that's going to be beneficial in the long run. Like some people don't have an emergency fund, so you want to start to build that. Let's say you want to save for your kids. Let's say you want to open up a 529 for your kids. That's one of the things that could be your goal. Let's say you want to start to invest. How long is your live? There has many times that I have had more month than money. My lives, I try to make them like an hour and a half. It just really depends. I feel like I'm just really trying to figure out the time. And there are many times that I had more month than money. Yes, there are many times that I had more month than money as well. Now, if that's the season that you're in, then I would say take care of all the important things first. And again, that's like going back to like your four walls, because I remember when I was budgeting a time in my life where like I was just in a negative all the time. I just didn't have enough money. So I was like, okay, I need to make sure I was a homeowner. So I need to make sure that I paid my mortgage. So that was number one. Then I needed to make sure that I had to have food on my table for my kids, right? So that was number two. And then three, I needed to make sure that like, gas and stuff in the car, like the debt payments and all the debt, that was kind of like the third on my list once I covered all of that. And sometimes I would have it where I paid the mortgage, I paid the utilities and all that stuff, and we got food. And then the debt payments, I just really couldn't add anything, or I couldn't save it. So give yourself grace. Sometimes seasons are like that, where you really have to cut down expenses as much as you can and really only take care of what's really important. I did change that by cutting unnecessary things. Okay, good. Yeah. So if you're cutting unnecessary things, then that's good. But if it's still like you need to make more money, then it just really depends. It really depends. Especially if you're saying like now that you are in retirement. So it really depends on like your annuity payment and your pension. So, but if you want to ask me more questions like off the live, I definitely can answer them. But I really just think it really depends on anything. Because I would want to like look at your numbers and figure out like, okay, what's coming in, what's coming out, like what like exactly your budget. So then that way I can have a more like specialized plan or action plan for you. Any other questions? We're talking about budgeting and the most important things about your budget. For the new people that I'm good, spoke to my financial advisor on Thursday. I'm in a good place currently. Thank God. Yes, for sure. Thank God for that. Thank God. Yes. Thank God for that, to be in a good place. Financial advisor, I'm glad you have that. So your financial advisor should be investing your money and making your money work for you, hopefully. Especially in the retirement, we want that money to definitely be working for you. So I'm glad that you have a financial advisor. I think honestly, we all should have some type of financial advisor helping us with our money, because even we did it together. Oh, okay, great. Because even like, I'm a financial coach, I'm not a financial advisor. I always tell people that financial advisor is a person that has different certification and they actually can invest your money. As a financial coach, I can't do that. It's a different type of certification. I really help more with like the budgeting, your debt payments, saving and stuff like that. But a financial advisor is the person that's actually going to be investing your money in the stocks and stuff like that. He wants me to understand how my money works and what I'm investing. Listen, if he wants you to understand that, you have a great financial advisor. Let me tell you, you should be understanding what your money is doing and what you're investing. That is a great financial advisor, because their job is to teach you what, and they're just supposed to guide you. He is amazing. I'm great that he is, because sometimes these financial advisors will just do whatever with your money. You don't even know it. You don't even know the stocks. You don't know if you're investing in the S&P 500 or single stocks. You don't know the risk. He should be educating you on all that so you can understand. Because let's just say, God forbid, something happened to him, right? Let's just say. And you don't know what he did. You don't know what he did with your money. You don't understand it. It's like, if you had to switch financial advisors, if you had to do anything, you still have the knowledge to know what you're investing, what stocks you're doing, all of the things. So I'm glad that he is teaching you. He is really good. You should keep him. And honestly, we all should have a financial advisor. I really think that I don't have one yet, but um sorry, can you hear me? Oh, they're about to end my live, but I was supposed to, let me see, I'm gonna end this. Hold on one second. I'm gonna end this stream.